Jim, I got a lot of questions this morning, so we're going to go lickety split. First of all, I began the show by saying, upon further review, the officials in the booth have reversed the call on the field, including my own. Donald Trump won that debate after 24 hours of seeing the reaction to ABC's bias and seeing the focus on Ohio and the migrants and just the overall reaction. I think he's going to move ahead in the polls. What do you think?
Well, I think that the press being for Harris is one of the strongest tools that the Democrats have. So, insofar as they undermined their credibility in the debate, which they clearly did, the effect of it in the intermediate term may well hurt the campaign. So, I don't know you. Will if she doesn't blip up in the polls by early next week, that's a very bad sign because she should, given that most of the coverage was that she won. So the simple reaction to that would normally cause a candidate to blip up a couple points. So I guess I'll wait to see what the polls
Yeah,
say
the
next week.
boomerang is what I'm counting on because lawfare didn't work, and I think mediafare has become obvious. I got to ask my second question. I think it was the worst debate in the history of presidential debates. I wrote that today at Fox News. What do you think?
Yeah, because and by the way, I have to claim credit because I predicted this last week on Dwayne's World. I said
Yes,
that I
you
thought
did.
the moderators I said I thought they would do everything possible to give her the election. And I want your viewers and listeners to understand that when you're doing a debate, obviously I've done a lot of high profile debates. You have to decide, it's part of the job of the candidate to decide how much of your time to use making your points and how much of it to use attacking the misstatements by your opponent. So when the moderator jumps in and does that job for the opponent, they are in effect participating in the debate. And that's what they did. And no, I have never seen a debate where that was done to that extent. It was, as other people have said, it was Candy Crowley, times five, and it was disreputable on the part of ABC. You said it a
And
number of
some
times,
people
and you're
say, some people have told me, if you're arguing about the refs, you've lost the game. And I've said, the game isn't over. I'm arguing about the refs, and the game isn't even close to over. Next question, and this one is your specialty. There wasn't one question about China. I'm still stunned by this. Not one question about China. Do you think Disney, Bob Iger told ABC, we got theme parks there. We saw a lot of merch in China. We can't go there because it's unbelievable. It's like having a debate in 1940 and not talking about the Nazis.
yeah. Well, it's possible because we know the tentacles of the Chinese government. I mean, this is not some conspiracy theory. I mean, we've seen it in the last couple of weeks. So that's possible. It's possible, if I wanted to be charitable, to say that China is not on the front pages as of now as often as what's happening in the Middle East, or probably the most likely explanation is that they ask as few questions about foreign policy as they could possibly get away with, because the Biden administration foreign policy is, in which, of course, she's participated and bragged about her participation, has been an utter and complete disaster. And they were going to ask as few questions that even had the potential for embarrassing her as they could possibly get away with.
What I want to assure the audience, I've done 5 of these with networks, presidential debates, primary debates, 4 with CNN, 1 with NBC. Everything is scripted. Everything in advance is worked over by everyone in the organization, not just Mira and Lindsay. It is everyone in ABC and indeed Disney. Next question has nothing to do with the debate. Yesterday, John Kirby mistakenly hit reply all, and an email went out telling his staff there was no use in responding to a handful of vets who are upset about Afghanistan. They are all of one stripe. I like Admiral Kirby. I've met him once. He's a patriot, he's a veteran, and he should resign. What do you think, Jim Talent?
If I were his boss, I think I would, because he's very able at his job, I think I would tell him I want an apology. I want it immediately. I want it personal. I want it on tape, and it better be good. Okay. But what really bothers me about it, I don't know that I would say he has to resign. What really bothers me about it is it shows the bubble they're living in, that they believe the only veterans who are upset about what happened in Afghanistan are people who don't like the Democrats, who are Republicans. How John Kirby, with his career and his record, can possibly believe that? It was an utter, absolute, dishonorable debacle that caused the death of 13 Americans, the wounding of others, and the discrediting of American credibility all over the world. But he thinks the only people who might complain about that are people who don't like Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. And what kind of bubble can he be in, you?
That's the blue bubble. All right, Senator, I'm going to repeat. Attorney General Dave Yost. There's a recorded police call from witnesses who saw immigrants capturing geese for food in Springfield. Citizens testified to city council. These people would be competent witnesses in court. Why does the media find a carefully worded city press call release better evidence? I know Dave Yost. Dave Yost is a friend of mine. I've worked with Dave Yost. I did not know anything about Springfield, Ohio until the debate Tuesday night. I did not. I now know between 15 and 20,000 Haitians have been dropped into that city since Joe Biden took office. It's a city of 58,000 people. It's overwhelmed. Did you know anything about Springfield, and what do you think about David Yost's comment?
I did not know about Springfield before. Of course, it became a major issue because of the debate. And again, this kind of thing, you have to ask yourself about the mindset of people who are surprised when we allow millions and millions of people in from vastly different cultures who have vastly different ways of doing things. And then they find implausible that these people, when they come into the United States, would continue to do and to act the way they acted in their home countries. Of course, they're going to do that. It's with regard to this border, it's of course a disaster that they allowed these people in. But again, what kind of people would open the border up, allow in millions, and have absolutely no plans for what you were going to do with them? And this is happening
Well,
all over.
Democrats, that kind of people. Now, Jim, I remember my brother-in-law worked on when the Vietnamese airlift happened, and there were tens of thousands of Vietnamese. The American government brought them to Camp Pendleton. They set up a tent village. They then slowly allowed them. My parish in Warren, Ohio, adopted a Vietnamese family. One family came to Warren, Ohio, and was integrated into the community with the support of one parish. It is possible to welcome the stranger and to take care of refugees, but it can't be 20,000 people on a city of 58,000 people. And it's happened all over the country.
Of course it can. It's the reason why you control the border. I mean, look, even if you want a liberal immigration policy, and that's what we used to argue about, you. When I was in office, when I was running for, and this was not like in the dark ages. Everybody agreed. You control the border and you stop illegal immigration. The issue was, there were two issues. How much legal immigration do you allow? And I certainly agree, it has to be at a low enough number that you can gradually assimilate the people you do let in, depending on who it is. I mean, if you're letting in PhDs from India, you have a different issue, right? And then the second question was, what do we do with people who've been here for 15 years, came in illegally? Should we allow them to get permanent status or whatever? Nobody ever argued about whether you just open the border up. I mean, that's why you see quotes from, Clinton and Obama and others saying, well, of course we have to stop illegal immigration. But this is what happens when you don't. I mean, you can't assimilate that many people that quickly. So what you end up doing is dumping them in the towns of small town America, in which where they're gonna get in trouble, and where you're going to ruin the services and the lives of the people who live in those towns. And that's their policy.
I don't know what the talent story is, but the Hewitt story is James Hewitt got on a boat in Ulster in 1868, came to Ellis Island, was sponsored, went to southwestern Pennsylvania and went to work in a coal mine, made enough money to move to Ashtabula, Ohio, buy a farm. His son worked the farm until he went to Capital Law School because an uncle died and left him some money and became a lawyer. And my father became a lawyer and I became, that's the American, I've got everything for immigrants. But it was one guy alone who was of working age, who was sponsored, came through, did the quarantine, the whole nine. I don't know what I will not be surprised if Donald Trump wins 30 states, 35 states, because
Well,
they can't do
and
this.
if I that's what I meant before. I think I said that the logic of the election favors Trump so much because number one, you people are hurting. Okay, they're
Yes.
hurting because of inflation. They're hurting because of crime. They're hurting because of the border. Number two, they focus on races like the presidency. If this were a congressional race, people will take a flyer on somebody like Kamala Harris, or whatever. But on a presidential race, governor's race, mayor's race, they care about it. And number three, the voters understand that Harris owns Biden's policy and owns the last 4 years. And I don't think there's any way in the world the media can gaslight them enough over the next 2 months to keep them from understanding that. They consistently underestimate the American voter. And then they're shocked and surprised and they say, oh, people are just evil because they didn't vote for the candidate we wanted. No, they're hurting because of the Biden Harris policies and they want real change and they understand that Donald Trump will bring that. That's why I'm fairly confident about the result. I mean, you never know for certain. I don't think the debate mattered that much. I never thought it would. I thought if she had blown up, it might have
It would be over
for her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Down
On the other
ticket.
hand, they I think they have figured her out, and if those that haven't are going to when they focus between now and the election, we'll see. I mean, my political predictions
Jim,
are
I was on Larry Kudlow yesterday, and I said the president did okay, but it wasn't his best. Kamala Harris did the best she could, and it wasn't very good. Fair?
I think that's fair. Look, Trump, the debate, if you go back and watch all of Trump's debate, he's an okay debater, which is what most candidates are, but his strength is the long form interview, like he does with you. And the reason is because Trump says what he thinks. So he doesn't, in a debate with short periods of time to answer questions, you have to be willing to pivot. You have to be willing to pivot pretty ruthlessly back onto the main topics. And Trump doesn't like to pivot. He will. You've done this when you interview him. He will. If you lead him into a topic,
he gets mad at me
he'll
when I
take 5
pivot.
minutes. Right. He'll take 5 minutes to discuss it. Now that's also a tremendous strength because he comes across as what he is, which is authentic. So this kind of a format, even if it had been fair, is not great for Trump. He's an okay debater. I mean, he's not bad. But when you got three people ganging up on you, I mean, you could pick the best debater you've ever seen, and they would have had great trouble in that debate. I mean, I would not have liked to do it. I was a pretty good debater. I would not have liked to do a debate like that. I'd have concentrated on minimizing my losses because it was like the diving competitions in the Olympics when the Russians were judges. You weren't going to win.
I'm going to use that. I'll give you credit. Senator Jim Talent, always a pleasure. Thank you, my friend. Good luck on Dwayne's World this week, and don't go anywhere, America. Keep listening to the podcast.